Why is the HTX token suddenly going up? The token behind the centralized exchange that was formerly known as Huobi. Why did it increase more than 40% today? Let's have a look at the data most people aren't considering. Let's look at the buyers and sellers. Let's look at relative valuations. Because crypto is all about risk to reward, and the question is, how much more upside is there for HTX? Does it still make sense to buy the token? Let's dive deeper. Now the price is currently at 0.5033 roughly. We are up 42% today, 80% this week, 137% this month. But since the launch of the token at the beginning of this year, we are up only 71% because initially we have seen quite a bit of a depression. What was behind all of this? Now, the HTX token is an incentive token of a centralized exchange with the exact same name. Now, the issue is we all know what the potential downside is for a token like this, right? Do you still remember FTT? FTT was the incentive token for the centralized exchange FTX. And when FTX went belly up, the token pretty much imploded under itself. Now, what was the problem with FTX? It was fraud, right? It was the insiders withdrawing funds while the customers still thought they've got their funds on the exchange. They still saw the funds in their accounts, but when they tried to withdraw, that was not possible. And so then there's the obvious question. Do we potentially have the same problem with HTX? Is HTX an FTX 2.0? Let's have a look at the proof of reserves. That's this chart over here. We see more than 10 billion worth of value in 2021. And even though Bitcoin is now at its all-time highs, HTX does not have a new all-time high in its reserves. Now here's the breakdown just in US dollars. But we can also normalize this to 100%, right? How much of the reserves are currently in the different assets? Now here is the HT or HTX token. And at one point in January of 2023, more than 40% of the entire reserves were just that token. We had a very similar situation to FTX at that point. Now that's not anymore the case. Now only 3.6% of the reserves are in the token. Instead, now a lot of the reserves are Bitcoin, but more on this in a second. Crypto as a whole is currently expanding, right? The stablecoin market cap is going up. The altcoins tend to outperform everything else, especially the OG altcoins, right? The altcoins that are mainly held by centralized exchanges and by market makers. Is HTX outperforming the other centralized exchanges now? Does this potentially warrant that the HTX token is going up more than the rest? Have a look at this table. This is the centralized exchange transparency table on DeFi Llama. And we can see here in the last month, what were the inflows in terms of assets for the different exchanges. And HTX has seen 144 million worth of inflows. Is this a lot? Is this a little? Given its total assets of 6.5 billion, it's actually not that much. Bybit has seen way more inflows, so has Robinhood and OKX. Now here's a very interesting recent development. You very likely do not have access to this kind of chart. This here shows how much advertisers on my YouTube channel pay for 1,000 views of their ads. And it suddenly, out of nothing, spiked to roughly double of what it used to be. In other words, crypto projects, centralized exchanges, etc., they are now competing for advertising space in the crypto scene. And it's not just money that's flowing into advertising for crypto. There's also simply fiat money that's flowing into the space as a whole. The stablecoin market cap tends to rise, and it's recently even accelerating. So since October of last year, we see money flowing into crypto again. That, of course, causes a lot of crypto asset prices to go up. And especially in the recent days, since beginning of the month, we also see the altcoins going up in aggregate. So what we have over here is the others dominance. This is how much of all of crypto is in the altcoins that's not in the top 10. That went up by roughly 20% in the last month. And so pretty much everything is now going up. The art in crypto trading, though, is to buy early, right? It's to buy when the prices are still low. So for example, over here, the Chill Guy token, it's now at 50 cents. But I made a video on Chill Guy when it was still at 20 cents. And I hope a lot of you made money with that video because it was a quite popular one. And so this is the real art, right? We have to get into tokens when momentum is bullish and when there's still enough upside potential. And so this is what this channel is all about, right? It's about discussing tokens that a lot of people don't yet have on their radar. So feel free to subscribe. Now, how can I find tokens like chill guy early? Or how can I find things like the GOAT token or the ACT token early? Those are one of the largest pump.fun ecosystem tokens. This is a wallet tracking alert. How Kyle Chessy bought the GOAT token for 14 cents. That was over here. Since then, the price went up by more than 500%. Temporarily, it was up by more than 800%. Who's Kyle Chessy? It's this influencer over here. He's got 137,000 subscribers and he tends to be relatively early on trending tokens. And so here is how that works. We use on-chain analytics again to figure out who is owning what wallet. It's not a very easy task, but we've got an entire community that just focuses on that single task. Find wallets that are very useful, of insiders, of top traders, of influencers. Let's find those wallets and then track them. So over here, we've got the wallets that we track by Kyle Chessy. We've got 12 in total. Well, let's talk about the ACT token. Here's our signal for ACT. CryptoBanter bought the ACT token at 3.7 cents. Now it's at 58 cents. So an increase of 1,500% since that signal. And of course, temporarily, the gain was even higher, more than 2,000%. Now, where do crazy gains like this come from? They come from attention. They come from a lot of eyeballs getting into one single token. And so here are those eyeballs. This is the CryptoBanter channel. They've got 1.1 million subscribers. When they talk about the token, of course the token has to go up. And so we've got 33 of CryptoBanter's wallets. And so really, I think this is the better approach compared to just drawing random lines on price charts. I think it's better to follow the smart money. It's better to follow the insiders. It's better to simply copy trade the people that tend to make money in crypto. And I like this approach that much that I made a dedicated tutorial course just on this. How can we find various influencer wallets? How can we track those wallets? And how can we subsequently also interpret the signals that we get from the tracking? It's 8 videos in total. It's all part of Premium. So that's down below, thebitcoinstrade.com. Premium is not just about wallet tracking. It's also about on-chain analytics, right? The charts that we looked at today in this video. It's also about portfolio diversification, risk management, indicator backtesting. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total. Once we get our wallet signals, we of course also have to discuss when should we buy, when should we sell. We have to compare the on-chain analytics. That's why we've got dedicated chats on the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $165 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like Premium, in case you don't learn anything, simply just message me within the first 7 days and I will refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. And so, does it make sense to buy HTX right now? Since the crypto market as a whole is expanding, since money is flowing in and the altcoins outperform everything else, why not hold HTX? Let's have a look at a few more data points that might be interesting. Have a look at this chart over here. This is an HTX chart, unfortunately, as well. This shows the value of the token over time relative to Bitcoin. So yes, we do have a bit of a rally, but long term, since launch, the token underperformed Bitcoin by more than 95%. Is this really an asset that you want to hold over Bitcoin? I'm not so sure. I think there are better assets to bet on this altcoin rotation. But does it make sense to at least use the HTX exchange? I'm also not so sure, unfortunately. Have a look at the news over here, published 2 days ago. Justin Sun advised HTX has redeemed 7,300 wrapped Bitcoin. It did not disclose. This comes from protos.com. Feel free to search for this article, but it's not pretty. The wrapped Bitcoin is not included in the proof of reserves for HTX. And we have heard about the increased involvement of Justin Sun with wrapped Bitcoin, right? Justin Sun isn't just involved with HTX and now wrapped Bitcoin. It's also, of course, spearheading the Tron blockchain. And I've made a video on Tron before on this channel as well. I made an analysis of how legitimate the wrapped Bitcoin on the Tron blockchain is. And unfortunately, I also couldn't find any proof of reserves over there. The centralized exchanges can move prices. They are the market makers. Tron itself went up by more than 290% in the last year, and thus it outperformed HTX. I personally prefer to rather stay away from those kinds of assets and also from those kinds of exchanges. I prefer, especially for significant funds, to simply use self-custody, to simply use a hardware wallet and store the money over there. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video or see you in Premium. Cheers.